Hi, and welcome once again to my review of Put a Ring on It Season 2, Episode 2. Now, last week was the premiere of Put a Ring on It Season 2, and in that episode, the men went on dates with, their own third wheels. And during this time, they did enjoy themselves, and at the end of that process, Dr. Nicole asked the men if they wanted a second date with those third wheels. And of course, Eric and Sean said no, but Darian, at the end, we did not know what his answer was. Now, this week's episode started with a continuation of that scene, and Darian, of course, wants to have a second date with Kai. Last week in my review, I didn't get the name correctly, so I kept referring to her as Shemara or Shemari, but her name is actually Kai. And yes, she is not all that bad looking, and Darian seems to be physically attracted to her from the very moment he saw her. And it's not surprising that he wants to have a second date with her, but we'll see how things go. Of course, she has awakened some type of feeling inside of him. That's what he says. But I think it has more to do with the fact that Darian is not really a commitment type person where he wants to commit himself solely to one woman. And that is why he has kept Lexi in a 14-year relationship and not having gotten married to her. And the fact that she says that they have been on and off tells me that that's the case. All right. Anyways, Dr. Nicole says she is going to see how the men react to getting a taste of their own medicine. And so the women are going to be sent off on dates with their own third wheels. So the first person that gets to go on a date that we see from the episode was Jessica. And Jessica is really a very attractive woman. She is very nice to look at, but Jessica seems to be that type of woman who is just on the surface level type of person. Fun to be out with, but nothing substantial underneath. But anyhow, for the sake of the show, Jessica goes out with Mr. Steal Your Girlfriend. That's what he calls himself, right? But he did look physically attractive as well. And Jessica, later on down, when Dr. Nicole asked her, "So, how was your date?" It was interesting that the first thing that came out, out of her mouth was that Brandon, I think his name was very attractive. Why did Jessica lead with that description, right? Um, and that's why I say she is more of a surface level type person, not anybody who of great substance, right? But the date with her and Brandon went well, and as she said, I was surprised when Brandon stated that he was never in love. At 32, I mean, people are in love from even 15 years old or young, even younger. So for you to say that you're all the way at past 30 and you don't see anybody that you've ever been in love with, that is definitely a red flag or something to watch or to listen to. And so she was correct in saying that she's not interested in going on a second date with the guy. Anyhow, Jessica's dress that she had put on to go out on this date, um, I have to say, is this really Jessica and Eric just playing it up for the show? Or are they really serious? Jessica seriously would go out on a first date with someone dressed like that? Hmm, that speaks to a person's character. I'm not saying that you can't you can't dress sexy, but at the same time, you can't be so available. You can't make yourself so available to a man the first time he sees you. You're showing him everything that you have. And that is why I keep referring back to the surface level type of person, because you want the guy to be attracted to you, to be, you know, or what's that cartoon again where them long out them tongue and just, ooh-eyed over your body. Now, if this is how you lead as a female, when you are presenting yourself to a man, then you're not going to get much from that man. He's going to be attracted to you, but that is going to be temporary. Okay? However, on the other hand, the other young lady, Laranda, she seemed to be a very great catch. And I can understand why Shon would have some level of anxiety over her going on a date with someone else other than himself, because he knows that any man who sees Laranda and is in her presence will see that Laranda is both someone who is externally beautiful and internally as well. She is someone who even Sean is saying that, basically, literally, Sean is saying that he does not equal to Laranda. And so he is working on himself to get to that place where he can provide for her financially. But I don't think it is only financially that Sean is having a problem. Sean is having other emotional baggage or trauma from his past experiences, right? So he talked about how he saw his parents, how they raised him, and what examples they had set in terms of relationships, and how he didn't want to be like his father. And I think, although I see this as a red flag for Laranda, I somewhat sympathize with Sean, because all of us can talk about traumas that we may have developed as a result of our experiences in the home, whether it be from your parents directly or from uncles and aunts who have been close to us, or even cousins, other family members that are not so close, distant relatives. We somewhat experience some level of trauma, be it that the examples that Sean is describing of the relationships where abuse is taking place between the husband and the wife. Um, it can be sexual abuse, it can be all types of things um, that we do experience. And these traumas have a major influence on our adult lives. So, because of that, I do sympathize with Sean, and I understand where he is coming from, in that he has been so negatively impacted that he does not want that to spill over into his adult life and the way in which he appears in his relationship with Laranda. And it is reasonable to have that fear, but sometimes fear tends to hold us back. And I think this is what Dr. Nicole is trying to say to Sean, that his concern over what his father had done, and how it impacts him, is preventing him from enjoying the moment. And the moment he is currently in is that he has found a woman in Laranda who is willing to be by his side despite his inadequacies and who wants to love him and wants to get married to him. But Shon is not seeing that he has a great catch and is now, second guessing himself and thinking that this great catch does not belong to him and he doesn't deserve it. So if he continues to play with this great catch, of course, it might very well jump back in the ocean and then he would miss out. So it's kind of interesting that this is actually coming out, but it is good for the show. It keeps us watching, glued to the TV. I like seeing the two of them. Sean said he was sick because LaRonda went out on the date, and Dr. Nicole was saying that, trying to say that there was something wrong with him being sick. Yes, to some degree, I can see where, yes, being so terrified of the situation was as a result of the trauma that he referred to. But at the same time, I mean, if in my relationship I see where my spouse is going out on a date and I really and truly love them, you kind of I go one for I wonder, you know, what is going to happen? What if something happens that you now lose this person that you genuinely love? So because he genuinely has emotions for LaRonda, this is why he is saying that he felt sick. He could not imagine his life without LaRonda. I guess, but again, sometimes if something is for you, you have to be able to let it go. So you can love someone whether they are with you or not, right? And when I say or not, I don't mean that them gone on the road. I mean if they choose someone else, you still want the best for them. So if they see someone who they are interested in and who they think they might have a better life with, if you truly love that person, you would be okay with that person moving on to the next person. But not many of us are capable of loving in that way. So, of course, Dr. Nicole tells him that he has to, allow LaRonda to go through the process. LaRonda also, in turn, she is also considerate of Sean's feelings. And although she went out on the date with, I don't remember the guy's name, forgive me, I'm not good at remembering names, but her third wheel that she went out with, who sang to her and all of that, she was liking the date, but she opted not to go on a second date with that guy because she felt sorry for Sean, the fact that Sean was distraught, and she was emotionally intelligent in refusing the second date. I am in agreement with her. I probably would have done the same thing. Although, if you genuinely came to the show to find out what is the problem with your relationship, it is not about covering up your issues, but really bringing them out and finding solutions for them. So she micromanaging the situation there. She should have allowed the process to continue. Despite me agreeing, I'm saying she should have allowed the process to continue. Continue to date the guy and see where it goes and see Sean's reactions, because you have some type of therapist that is there to guide you and to say to you honestly how, both of you, whether you are compatible or whether you should proceed in the future or end it now. So it's kind of difficult. Some of us don't like to let go of control, and well, at the end of the day, we'll see how it all pans out. But Sean is terrified about, becoming his father, right? um we like to think that when abuse happens, that it does not affect children, that abuse is simply the man beating the woman. But Being a part of a household where abuse is taking place does affect other people, right? Even if you are the next door neighbor, sometimes, if you're a child and you in the middle of the night, every night, you hear a man beating a woman, I am absolutely certain that there are children who this will affect, right? So we have to be more responsible in our actions and consider our children, that when these things are happening, that we take the right steps to protect them. So again, this is a great example coming out to all of us in that regard, right? So you don't want this type of trauma to continue to plague our society. Now, the next couple was, what's their name again? Darian. Did I talk about? Yeah, no, I haven't spoken about Darian and Alexia and Alexia's date. So, of course, Alexia went out on her date, and the guy was a trainer, right? And Darian, he was not happy about the guy coming to their home to, take Alexia out. But before I go there, I noticed that the the show gave a description for the home that Darian and Alexia was in as Alexia and Darian's home. No, I am not sure so good on maths. No, for the 14 years you said you have been dating on and off for 14 years. You got to know this guy from you were 19, okay? And right now, at 34 years old, you're living with a man in his home. Or is it your home? Or is it both of you home? Because if it is your home, it means that your name is on the title. All right. If it is not your home and you are living with this man for 14 years in his home and you are not married, you know that there are legal consequences to that. Recently, what's his name there? DMX was with this girl for how many years? And they had a child together, and he suddenly passed away. And I saw them with this post complaining about the girl not being able to benefit or profit from DMX's fortune that he had died and left because she was not declared by the court to be his common law wife. No, I don't feel sorry for that girl. I and just like in Darian and Alexia's position here right now, Darian is living with Alexia, but Darian is not choosing to marry her. Okay? And if the man has not chosen to marry you and has invited you to live in his home, that doesn't make you his legal wife. That doesn't make you being able to, lay claim to his possessions after he dies. So if you are just a girlfriend, then why should you benefit or profit from his possessions? So Alexia and Darian's home, this is just cause for concern. 14 years in a relationship and you are willing to accept being the girlfriend, then whatever your fate afterwards, if he should die, then you should be okay with that. All right? If you are not okay with that and you want to be recognized as a wife and you want to be able to say, okay, I contributed 14 years of my life towards this man and towards his endeavors and helped him to acquire these possessions, then yes, go ahead and get married, right? And get it over with. But to be living there with someone for so long, right? Just being his girlfriend, if your name is not on the title, it is not your home. You are living with a man and you're the man's girlfriend for the time being. All right, I just wanted to get that off my head. Now, Alexia went out on the date with the trainer. The trainer came and Darian got his share of the pie, right? Because he was obviously jealous of the guy coming there to take his woman out, right? And again, this is an example of the things that men can dish it but don't like to take it. All right. They are not in tune with women doing the things that they do. All right. But where I fault Alexia now in the whole situation, Alexia then at the end of the of the date when Dr. Nicole asked her, would you like to go on a second date? You let down yourself now, Alexia, when you went and said that you are not, you don't want to go on a second date with the guy. However, it was clear that there was no sparks between the two of you. And as it relates to the trainer, me ain't too feel the trainer, although his body looks nice, but the hair on his face needed to go. The beard needed some combing or some grooming, right? So maybe you were just not into him, Alexia. But me was you, I would have said, yes, of course, I want to go on a second date to see what happens. But you let down the ball. The ball is not a rolling for you, my dear, because obviously you're not seeing the game that Darian is playing on you. All right. Anyways, it was a good episode. Yeah, it was. The couples are gaining insight as to, some of the issues that they are having. Jessica and Jessica and Eric, they, contend that they are having trust issues. Darian and Alexia say that they are now openly communicating with each other more. Um, but at the end of the meetup with Dr. Nicole, Dr. Nicole asks the ladies if they would like to go out on a second date with the guys. And of course, none of the ladies chose to go on second dates, right? LaRonda says she doesn't want to go on a second date because of Shon, and we talked about that already. So for next week, all the ladies and all the guys are going to go on dates together, and we see where Darian is stepping. To me, it seems like Darian is leaving the scene with Kai, right? So we'll see how next week's episode go. But so far, Put a Ring on It is giving us the entertainment that we need, and the fact that Ready to Love has ended, and so Put a Ring on It is, taking on that role. I'm happy that it is. I have When I have something else to discuss or another episode to review, I will be back. I am glad that you guys are, liking, commenting, and I do hope that you will subscribe if you enjoyed this review. Good night, y'all. See you next time. Bye.